Last week, the U.S. government released their official inflation number, 2.4%. That's the headline. That's what made the news. That's what the Federal Reserve is celebrating. But here's what was in the same report, just buried in the footnotes. Ground beef, up 16%. Home health care, up 12%. Hospital bills, up 7%. So I want to ask you one question before we start. Which number actually affects your life? Warren Buffett spent 60 years asking exactly this kind of question, the question most people forget to ask. And in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to walk you through everything that just happened in the U.S. economy through Buffett's lens. Let's begin. So the CPI inflation report came in at 2.4%. And I want to be honest with you, my first reaction was also relief. That sounds low. But then I read the actual data. The main reason inflation looks low? Gasoline prices dropped about 8% compared to last year. Oil is cheaper. That pulled the average down. But oil prices change every single month. It's a temporary factor. Meanwhile, the things you actually buy consistently, groceries, healthcare, insurance, property taxes, these are still rising sharply. Buffett once said, "Beware of geeks bearing formulas." He said this about complex financial models, but it applies just as well to government statistics. When someone shows you a number, your first question should always be, what is this number designed to show? And what is it conveniently not showing? The 2.4% is not a lie, but it is an average, and averages can hide a lot of pain. Think about it this way. If I have 1 foot in boiling water and 1 foot in ice, on average, I'm comfortable. That's what a headline inflation number does. Now let's talk about the Federal Reserve and what's about to change. The Fed's next meeting is March 18th. Right now, there is a 90% probability of no rate cut. Jerome Powell is not going to move based on 1 month of CPI data. But then something significant happens in May. Jerome Powell leaves as Fed chair. President Trump's likely new nominee, Kevin Warsh, steps in. And then by the June 17th meeting, the odds flip completely. 68% probability of a rate cut. Think about that. In 6 weeks, the probability goes from 71% against a cut to 68% in favor of one. What changed in the economy? Nothing dramatic. What changed is who controls the room. The market is effectively saying, we believe the new Fed chair will cut rates because the president wants him to. Which means the market believes the Federal Reserve is no longer truly independent of political pressure. Buffett put it best. It's only when the tide goes out that you learn who has been swimming naked. Institutions that make decisions based on political pressure rather than economic reality, they look fine when times are good. When the tide goes out, we see the real picture. Now here is the important nuance. Rate cuts are not automatically good for all investments. Lower interest rates mean cheaper borrowing. More money flows into the system. Stocks and gold generally benefit. But, and this is critical, a rate cut cannot save a business that has a structural problem. And that brings us to AI. This section is where I want you to pay the most attention, because in February 2026, this is the question every investor is asking. How does AI affect the businesses I own? Buffett has a framework for this that he's used for over 40 years. He calls it the moat. In business, he says, look for economic castles protected by unbreachable moats. A moat is what protects a business from competition. And the most important question to ask about any company right now is this. Can AI destroy this moat? Or will AI actually strengthen it? Buffett's framework helps us think through this using 2 contrasting examples that are in the news right now. The first is a language learning platform, the kind of product that charges a monthly fee to teach vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation through daily lessons. That's the entire value proposition. Now think about what free AI tools can do today. Custom lesson plans, real-time grammar correction, any language, any dialect, any level of depth, for free, or for a fraction of the cost. Using Buffett's framework, what is the moat here? What protects this business from a competitor that delivers the same result better and cheaper? The honest answer, when you apply Buffett's thinking, is there isn't one. AI walked right across it. This is a valuable lesson about any software business whose core product is information, content, or education, because AI can often replicate those at near zero cost. The second example is completely different. Think about a company like Amazon. AI cannot deliver a physical package to your door. AI software cannot build a warehouse. AI cannot replace years of logistics infrastructure, the trucks, the planes, the fulfillment networks, the physical relationships. Amazon's moat is physical and logistical. AI makes it more efficient, but cannot replace it. In Buffett's framework, that's a strong moat. So the Buffett question for every company is the same. Is this moat AI-proof? Or is AI going to fill it in? And before we move on, everything we're discussing here is purely to understand how Buffett thinks. This is not investment advice, and these are not recommendations. Always do your own research before making any financial decision. Now let's talk about gold, because it's at all-time highs right now, and I want to give you Buffett's actual thinking on this, which is more nuanced than most people realize. Buffett is famously skeptical of gold. He's explained his reasoning many times. Gold gets dug out of the ground. We melt it down, dig another hole, bury it again, and pay people to stand around guarding it. It has no utility. His core point: gold produces nothing. It generates no earnings, pays no dividends, builds no products. And yet, it's at all-time highs. And there are real structural reasons for this. The first tailwind is de-dollarization. Countries around the world, including major economies, are increasing their gold reserves and reducing dependence on the US dollar as the global reserve currency. Central banks are buying gold at record rates. This is not speculation, it is policy. The second tailwind is the coming rate cuts. When interest rates fall, the yield on safe assets like savings accounts drops. Gold becomes relatively more attractive because the opportunity cost of holding it goes down. The third tailwind is money printing. When more dollars enter the system, the purchasing power of each dollar can weaken. Gold historically holds its value against that. So applying Buffett's framework, gold is not an investment in a business. It is a hedge against dollar weakness. The question to ask yourself is, how much dollar weakness protection do I actually need? That answer is personal to every individual situation. Let me leave you with 3 Buffett thinking principles that directly apply to everything we cover today. Principle 1. Always look behind the headline number. The 2.4% is a real number, but your personal inflation rate is different. Know the difference between the average and your reality. Principle 2. Apply the moat test before any market catalyst. Rate cuts will lift stocks broadly, but they cannot save businesses with weak or disappearing moats. Before any rate cut rally, ask, does this company have something that cannot be copied? Principle 3. Understand what any asset actually is. Gold is not an investment in the Buffett sense. It is a hedge. Stocks are ownership in businesses. Bonds are loans. Knowing what category something belongs to helps you think clearly about when and why to own it. Someone's sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. That's Warren Buffett. Plant your tree today. Think clearly. And don't get fooled by the narrative. If this video gave you one useful thinking framework, subscribe to Buffett Vaults. And drop a comment. Which number in today's economy do you trust the least? See you in the next one.